Hey, hey, hey. We're back. Back to Coffee Chicks and Comics.
At
I
it
am
again.
not the host tonight.
You are not.
Yay! But I
How's
do
it
have my
feel
girls
to,
with me. Heather Bullens is back in the house. And we got Jesse Geist back in the house. And tonight they are putting me and my partners, Leonce and Lee, in the hot seat.
How does it feel to pass the baton?
Oh, well, I guess we'll see, right?
Right. I've got a few
Okay.
questions lined up. Jesse, you want to go rock, paper, scissors for it, or you want to go first?
We could do like I'll do question, then you do question, then not, and then we could do back and forth.
Hey, that works for me.
Cool. Okay. I think we should start with Keith's question, because I think it was really awesome. So he asked why time-wise, and I'll just kind of add in there like other beings, why they don't quickly neutralize the ill if they're becoming an increasing problem.
Want to answer that, Leonce, or you want me to do it?
You got it, boss.
Okay. So, time-wise is more so a observer. If you want to liken him to anybody that is out there, it would be like the Watcher from Marvel, right? He kind of fits that profile. He's just there to observe, and his whole mission, which was given to him by the sun god, the sun deity, was to basically just observe and just keep, monitoring the issue. You got to remember, we're just now kind of learning about Zenith's existence, and the sun god's known about him for a while, but he's like, yeah, this is a problem, but okay, it's manageable, right? It's that meme you see with the dog sitting inside the house and it's on fire, like everything's fine. Like that's exactly what this is. Everything's fine, no issues. We're good, right? But slowly there's an issue getting ready to form, and it's a big one. He's got to take it on. So right now, what mankind doesn't know won't hurt them. So the more he can kind of wipe that, knowledge of these things existing off the face of the earth, the less they'll be able to do it. So yeah, that's why he kind of exists for that particular reason.
Cool. That didn't throw you off as much as I thought it would.
Why does that surprise you?
My goal here is to make it so I catch you off guard and you go, That was
the
kind of my
night
goal
is
for
still
it.
young, so keep it fired.
Okay, your turn, Heather.
All right. So my question is, the first question is, which character do you feel like stands on business out of the whole Natura series? I mean, it could be any series, but really, I wanted to hear it for the Natura first.
I think Lycos
it's
is
gonna
a
be way
given.
different than you think it's gonna be.
I mean, when we say that Lycos is a given, like that's if there's anybody that's to quote Marshawn Lynch about that action boss, is Lycos. Like he's the most I think forthright kind of dive into the action sort of person with the type of background that he has. He knows what it's like to kind of face a challenge, like, and to not back down. Yeah, if anybody is going to, draw the line in the sand and be like, cross this line is going to be a problem, it's going to be Lycos. Like I think he's the most likely, most willing to stand on business.
I would counter that a little bit. I'm gonna have a little pushback, right? So I would give it to Tyree a little bit because I think it was observed in issue 1 of Trapper enough that my man is willing to throw down in case of protecting his daughter and his home front. So I think we've yet to see the reveal yet, but it's coming. However, I think my man Trapper might have something to say to that, man. So for me, it's Trapper. So I do agree with everything you said with Mr. Lycos, Mr. Moses Black there. But I think Trapper has to throw his hat in the ring and kind of weigh some of that out on a little bit on the scale there. So yeah.
So I'm actually gonna throw it all out of the window and just say it was actually Ida for me, because like even though Lycos has that powerhouse, ready to fight, constant blowing things up and get in your face, Trapper also has his take a stand, protect his family and his friends in his neighborhood. But we actually got to see her protect her family, and she jumped in before she even had powers and fought a metahuman. Like she just hauled out, beat the ass shit out of a shark in her first book. So for me, it was Ida.
Ooh.
I mean,
Either valid.
sorry, it was.
This is true. This is true. I think I personally say maybe family in general is a trigger for most. It seems like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all kind of
common
did. They all
theme.
both, I think most of the origin stories kind of show that they all jumped into this battle over somebody they loved. With Trapper, it was, you know, his girlfriend in the Congo. And then he continued that with his yeah.
Leonce disagrees.
Remember? It was the girlfriend in the Congo. Her head ended up on a pike.
Yeah, with Lycos, yeah.
Or Lyco, sorry, not Trapper. Yeah. And then yeah, with Trapper or with Tyree, he's not even Trapper yet. So with Tyree, it was the drive-by shooting and just the gangs and everything. And then with Ida, it was, I mean, you tried to kidnap. They were at the beach, man. Like they were eating ice cream and playing frisbee, and you just like, all right, I'm just gonna haul you
We're just
away.
gonna orchestrate kidnapping, like right out the blue,
right?
Like,
in the middle of broad daylight. So, but she did not hesitate to go after him. It wasn't like she was like, "Stop! Call the cops!" It wasn't, you know, it wasn't very, you know. She reacted in a way that somebody who, if you were messing with my family, would. So, for me, that's why I kind of like the way she took her stance in the first one.
Not much of
Silas wanted to run away from his problems, so
Thank
I mean,
you.
Ricky's gonna have to bring it.
We're
in the next
totally
book.
missing a character here. We're totally missing like one character. But I mean, that being said, running away, that kind of also takes a little bit of courage, because then you kind of got to look at it as like, well,
I mean, he took a stand in the end. He took a.
He didn't run. He didn't run. He didn't run. He was just reluctant to do it. He was just
He didn't
like,
want to do it. He didn't want the power. He didn't want the responsibility. He was like, dude, I'm just trying to catch some waves. I'm minding my business, you know.
It was an overwhelming moment. I think that's a natural reaction to the type of things that he uncovered about himself, you know.
I think, to be fair, in that moment too, though, he was really he didn't have anything like all these other people we're talking about had moments where they knew they had to turn, go, and be about that. And Silas, it was survival. He was trying to figure out why he was even there and why this was happening to him in the first place.
Right.
So Silas has not been given that opportunity to develop that yet. But I don't know. I kind of feel like if we put Silas in a corner, I feel like there's enough there that he would be about the business.
well, okay. If we go back in to your point, Heather, you just made, if you go back to issue 1, I mean, he ends up being about that life after a while. You know what I mean? Because we just introduced him. Yeah, he's kind of silly. He's a dude, but whatever. But he's like, yo, y'all got to get down this cliff real quick. I mean, like, these things are coming. I dealt with them before, but not this many. Y'all got to go.
Yeah.
So they take on down the hill, man. And yeah, I mean, he's looking out for the group, man. So I think he comes around, you know?
True. All right. What do you hope readers get from your comics?
Honestly, I think
that was a longer pause than I thought. I'm like, whoa.
So honestly, I honestly think that the main thing that, and this is kind of what Lee actually posted about the other day, that anybody can be a superhero. Like it doesn't take somebody that's super strong or somebody that's super smart or a super billionaire, or anybody can be a superhero in their own life. And it's everyday people. And it's the person you probably least expect to step up to be that hero. And that kind of, it touches, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of us started writing or drawing or creating or doing these envisionings about superheroes in high school because either we were facing bullying issues or we were just an isolated person or we were just an introvert. But it's one of those things where as we come out of our shell, which is like that freshman year of college, you're like, oh yeah, you know, I'm cool shit. Like I may not be cool to everybody, but I'm all right. I'm not a bad person. So, and you kind of find your own alter ego or persona. So it just, I think that's something that we get to see with Mars because she literally went from being this really geeky, gadgety girl from MIT to having to be a sidekick to a guy who wants to blow up shit like every 15 seconds. And he has some serious anger issues. So as they're working on that and working on this whole elemental one and working on all of these things, she's trying to figure out how these components work to regulate what's going on and still keep some of her normalcy about herself, you know? So honestly, it's just that it could be anybody. So Leonce?
In the short term, what I want them to get from our comics is intrigue, anticipation. Like I want for readers to want to be excited to turn the page. I want them to be excited to see the next panel. You know what I mean? I'm a writer. Like I want them to be engaged in a good story. Like what makes them want to find out what happens next. That's in the short term. In the long term, I hope that readers are inspired by the things that we put together. I want them to have the fuel that it takes to imagine, something greater, imagine new things, Yeah, I think all art at its heart should inspire, people to want to do something new, see something new, say something new, read something new. So yeah, in the short term, engagement, entertainment, in the long term, inspiration.
I'm trying to recall my answer from last night, man. Last night you were taking all my good answers. You were taking all my good answers last night.
That's right. You guys did your own interview.
Yeah, he took all my good answers. He was just like, yo, I got that.
Happen to align more often than not. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got to piggyback off of what Leonce is saying. I think the idea of being able to explore, a different world, and particularly when I came up with the idea for this and was bouncing it off people and bouncing off my brother and kind of getting that, the first, if you want to call it beta testing out there on it. The most consistent thing I would get back from people was like, wow, this is a deep story. Like this has some multifaceted, aspects to it, and I can relate to it, and it has like deeper meaning to it. And that's the intent. Like this is ultimately when you bring all these stories together and you read them and you start to understand and grasp the world that we're creating. My brother said it best yesterday. It is about togetherness. It's about bringing people together. It's literally about, we are better as a unit than we are separated. And that's the idea about it, and understanding that balance between that and understanding how our collective, misfortunes, even though they could be different from one amongst others, we still are collectively, one tribe, so, and that's the whole point of it. And finding that balance within that tribe. So that's essentially what the meaning of the Natura is, and that's what the story is about. So I hope people understand that and grasp that meaning of it when they read all the issues collectively, right? So, take us right now, and everybody has a contributing issue towards the story already, man. I mean, we just rattled off different aspects of each story, and it didn't skip a beat. Everybody was able to recall certain aspects of what their character has contributed to the overall arc of the story, and look how it brought us together. You know what I'm saying? So that's the point of it. So yeah, sorry for that long-winded answer, Jess, but there you go.
That works. That's the whole point of this interview, is to get into the nitty-gritties.
That's right. We're getting deep tonight.
Everybody. That's the whole point of all things like comics. Just getting into the nitty-gritties and understanding, and then, maybe you're related to them in some way, or maybe you're not. And then you realize, or you question the views that you have because you've read something from another, like from a comic, and you're like, wow, I never really thought about it that way.
That's the gift.
All right, what else I got? There are harder questions, correct?
All right, I got you. Pull my list back up here. Okay. So, what stories would you want to see be made into comics? And if you could, what artists would you have do them? They don't have to be from the team. You can shout out somebody if you want, but if you want to go ahead and it could be a Natura story, it could be a story you've heard. What story would you want to see made into a comic, and by who?
Yeah, Leonce, you go ahead and go first. I know that's on the tip of your tongue right now. Go ahead.
I have a bucket of really short vignettes, short stories that I would love to have illustrated. Man, listen, it's not about bias, but I happen to be partial. Like, my brother is a dope artist, and I like the way that he draws, especially the way that he draws things that I've put pen to paper to. But I mean, to that end, like anybody who's drawing on my team, like I want to see them. I would love to see more art from Kevin. You know what I'm saying? The young guy, Brandon P. Like, I'm trying to bring him along. I'd love to see more art from them. Like, I have a solid like 5 stories, just short things sitting around. I got ideas for other titles, non-Natura titles that I'd like to toss out. So there are many stories that I'd like to see turn into comics, and I'd love to see everybody on our team illustrate them. Yeah. I can't get specific because I'd have to like run down the stories, but yes, there are many.
Go ahead, Neef.
Oh no, you're not getting out of that. Go ahead.
Very well.
You just wanted to go last.
I just wanted to go last. That's it. It wasn't me getting out of it, but all right, whatever. All right. Okay. I have an affinity for samurai stories. I love samurai and ancient Japan. Like, that's my bag, homie. That's my bag, right? So if there was a way to do some, how can I put it? Okay, so 2 things. If there was, I love the idea of, what's the homeboy that's doing it right now? Philadelphia.
Oh, Rodney Barnes.
Ronnie Barnes, right? So he's doing Philadelphia, and it's basically just this modern underground vampire society that's in the heart of Philadelphia. Like, it's a crazy premise, and it's taken off, and it's super popular. So I would love to do like a horror epic like that, but also base it in like ancient Japan somewhere. Like, you got a combination of the two. Can you imagine the visuals with this bad boy? Can you imagine what that would look like with horror mixed with, samurai swords, dueling hilltops, sunsets, waves crashing?
Sunset duel. That's what I was thinking of. The big sunset duels taking place. Oh,
come on, man! I am a samurai nut, right? Nut. So that would be my. And look, man, I love drawing. I love drawing. I do. I just don't know if I would be capable of handling an epic like that. I don't even know who I would reach out to. The one guy, all right, so in college, there was one guy that I had to do an interview with. He had already graduated, but he was like top notch. And he has, like, one day I have to show you guys his work. His name is Gani Montez. And he is a phenomenal artist when it comes to just his line weights and color. He does everything in like Illustrator and Photoshop. He's more of like an illustrator graphic designer in a sense. I don't know if he would necessarily do like a full-on comic book panel type stuff, but I think he would be awesome at it. This cat named Koteki. He does what is it? Is it called Bridge to Nowhere? Bridge to Nowhere. Basically, what it is kind of in a sense, kind of what I'm trying to get to, the style that he does. I mean, he does everything in traditional style, but it's all you would take like Afro Samurai, that style that you've seen from Afro Samurai, make these anthropomorphic human animal hybrids that have all these like, superpowers, but they're like human beings at the same time. And that whole style is just so detailed, and the fluidity of it, and he just good with spacing and occupying the entire panel. Like his shading and contrast are on another level, man. So it's just like I would love to see him pencil something like that. That'd be awesome.
Damn.
Well, we'll be right back after this brief announcement.
Boom. Young
Man,
Jameson.
I am loving Streamlabs. It's like my new little toy. I can do trailers and commercials and
Just say these commercials are like next level. Good job, ma'am. Yes.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Throwback. That's throwback.
we are back.
Wow.
So you also need to answer the question.
Oh.
Okay.
Look, I just watched Blue Eyed Samurai, and right now I don't want to turn anything into anything because that thing was absolutely, it was amazing. It had the action, it had the little Asian boobies, it had everything. It had the porn, it had the vampires, it had acid trips. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was the best. Like I have not seen
Asian boobies.
No, it was a series. It was a miniseries, but it was gorgeous.
You have to go back to the Asian boobies for me for a second. Like I'm a little perplexed.
Oh, they showed everything. They even showed the little Asian peepee. It was so it was a lot. There was a lot going on. And then every episode had a different whorehouse, but it always seemed like they were the same ones, but it was a different whorehouse. It was crazy. Like,
oh, she's not wrong.
You know how we talked about doing our own little adult anime with some stuff? It had all the stuff. I was excited. I liked it. But it was also about the fight, and it was also a love story, and it was also about her humanity kind of hanging in the balance because she was always considered to be an outcast because she was half American and half Korean. So, Japanese. And so there was a lot of everything going on. So, but I loved it. It was bravo.
It was amazing.
It was.
Jesse, did she even answer the question still?
No.
You like the way I
Jesse, can you just can you make sure that she's answering the question appropriately?
Okay, all right. So if I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't have anything that I like everything the way it is. I don't really have anything that I will pull into one realm or the other. So I like things that they come out that's written and produced in a book. And then I hate the way sometimes they turn the books into movies, but other than that, I don't think I want to see it as an animated series or even as a comic. If I had to do one, maybe Wheel of Time, just because I would love to see some of those graphics kind of come to life with more color. Because they did a lot of whitewash to the color aspects of like the different armies and the different ranks and the different, like the protectors and the guardians and stuff like that. So maybe, I don't know, maybe see that in an animated series. But other than that, I don't know. I don't really have one. Sorry. Blue Eyed Samurai till the day I die. I'm going as Miko next year.
I know, me too.
I wanted to do it. I said I'm going to do it.
Such a great character. Such great character development too. Just as a writer, how that was written from the very beginning. I just knew that they were going to have a female lead, and I was just I'm impressed from like start to finish. And the fact, if you guys have not watched it yet, please do. It is a must watch as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think it definitely is a woman's right movie though, because it was just one of those things where it was like she had to identify as a boy all her life, and then the one moment that she kind of let her vulnerability down just so she can kind of protect her mom, it was very gut-wrenching. Like it was just very like a stab in the back. I wasn't seeing that coming. Like I actually thought that she was going to have this thing, but it was really fun to watch her arch enemy, her arch nemesis, who followed her around like crazy.
Yeah, Tigan's a more loyal friend.
Yeah,
but he's trying to kill her.
Right.
Like
I love you, but I hate you.
A more loyal friend, but you're trying to kill her.
Yeah. Yeah. So it definitely had a lot of pros and cons, and yeah, it was good.
All right.
Lee, I feel that was an appropriate response.
What? I don't have one that I want to change. I like everything the way it is, and I honestly, no.
Jess, I think you need to read.
You know what I would love to see though? Just like me and Brandon teamed up for the Year Hired, and we actually really fully wrote the collaborative Year Hired. Like I wrote all the lines for Mars, and then he did all the lines for Lycos, and we kind of collabed on the stuff that his wife was going to say in it, and you know what was going on. But he did all the major action, blowing up things. So I would like to see a collaborative art piece, and I'm not going to even say it, but I do want Heather back at the table to do it. But I would love to see a collaborative art book, just like with everybody's kind of forefront, maybe even a Natura series where everybody's fighting, but it's all of y'all's illustrations combined. Because what I did learn by reading, the Graveyard books, was that he took 12 different artists and everybody wrote a chapter, but to watch the different illustrations actually look very similar by line work. Even though they were black and white, you couldn't tell that not one artist, but 11 artists was working on the same thing. So I would love to see that. And just color it. Makes things pop with color. That's her thing. She pops everything with color.
Doing it. I'm doing it. Okay, whose question is it? Is it my question or is your question, Heather?
Now, yes.
My question. Okay, we came back to me really quickly. Okay. This is more of like a startup business question, but also it can relate to like comics themselves. So what are your top, let's say, 3 things that you learned so far that if you were to hear about it from somebody else that you would give advice to? Does that make sense? I feel like I worded that weird.
Well,
what are 3 things that you learned that you would share with other people about, like,
starting
your business, then doing all of like the figuring out where your base comic is going to start at, and then, you know, applying yourself to Comic-Cons and all that?
I'll say this, and this may sound like an echo to Leonce because he heard this yesterday. So, so we got a chance to go to IndieCon, and I think I probably, outside of Comic Palooza and even the superhero car show here in Texas, and even the ones we've gotten to be in Cleveland and other places, that IndieCon in Houston, being that it was a smaller venue, we got a chance to see what the indie side of the house looks like and see what the people that are doing it at that smaller level are. And then we actually came across a group of guys that are pretty much a mirror image of what we're doing at 50 Comix with 3 people. They're handling what, 2 major titles, Leonce?
Correct.
2 major titles, you know, really good publishing. They just have like a super polished project. When I say a mirrored image of what we're doing here, they have a Lanisha, like she is the equivalent of Lanisha on their team. There's a brother that is an exquisite writer, and then there's a brother that does art. So they literally are a mirror version of us. So, but it was just kind of like a benchmark. Like, oh wow, like okay, I see what they're doing at their level with the assets they have, and they even had their mother there. Their mom was there cheering them on and just rooting from the sidelines, just like here, I'm pumping my son's books. Here's what we're doing. She's retired military and all. Like, all right, I'm coming here to show support. But then there was just other people at the table, man, that just were just about that life, man. They just got after it. You know, they wanted to show that, okay, I have a product, I have a dream, I have everything we always talk about when we wanted to start off and doing this. They reached for it. So any advice, and I've given this to my boss at my job, because my boss is a big D&D player, and he's got like an idea for an actual tabletop game that he wants to put out. But he's hesitant to do it. With all his working experience in the industry, working for Nike and all these other places, he is intimidated by stepping out on his own to start his own thing. He is like nervous about it. And I'm just like, wow, like I don't know if it's just a support thing. It's just having people to have the information to hand out to you. And to be honest with you, we didn't have that until we got Lanisha. And Lanisha provided a lot of that intel that we didn't have. So, you know, me and my brother, he always says it. How do you put it? We're creatives. We're always heads in the clouds. How's it?
Yeah. I tend to tell people that he and I, Lee and I, would like discuss these ideas, and creatives tend to have our heads up in the clouds, but it takes someone to put our feet on the ground to make this thing actually go. And that was what Lanisha provided for us. She took this nebulous idea and made it real for us. Like he says, the Pardo brothers at Comic IndieCon, like they had been in the same situation where they were just kind of having a lot of wouldn't it be cool if conversations, until, you know, somebody kind of stepped in and was like, okay, do these things. Next thing you know, products out there in the world.
Yeah. Shoot for it. That's something that I can really advise. Like, shoot for it. Find out as many information, plug your way in, and ask questions. That's my advice.
Oh, we're waiting on me to answer again.
Yeah.
Well, we will sit in silence because you can just add out that part.
Look, I mean, out of 3 years, who knew what this was going to turn into after 3 years? Like, usually it can start. There's so many different. It's like dealing with kids. There's so many different everythings in the mix. So, I mean, start small. That would be one of my things. Probably starting small and then adding in one layer at a time, maybe. But they gave me a challenge. We started with 14 people and it was a lot. 14 people, 7 different stories, and almost 200 characters. And we were like, where are we going to put these? Who's going what? What's coming out first? And figuring out how to tether if this is going to be one overall arc or not. That had been the major argument for probably a good year and a half with us, because a lot of people are like, this is a separate issue, but no, this is the same series. But no, this is a separate issue, but this is the same series. No, but this is original character work, but this is the same series. So getting all of that together and then trying to pitch that and then sell the books and get all of that and get everybody in that one consensus, that was probably the hardest part of the first 3 years. And so when you're doing that, I think having a nice rounded floor plan that you kind of hold firm on will probably be the best thing to do. Just, this is the top, this is where it's going, this is where it is. And you're going to get those things that they're in that unexpected story, that unexpected short, that unexpected narrative, but that's fine. Those are easy to work about. But making sure you have that anchor first kind of will definitely bring all of that to face. And I think once you know where you're going with it and then the people you're working with, and you start really, I think the other part was learning how to trust each other. Once everybody on the team actually is able to trust each other and work interchangeably with each other on those things and trust that you got this. All you got to do is check in and give them that deadline. They got it. then you're good. So, one big dysfunctional family.
Stop saying
It is. It's true. It doesn't matter what workplace you work in. You always got the crazy cousin, the drunk uncle, and the person that just like will carry everybody all the way to the finish line. So it's just one big crazy dysfunctional family.
Totally true.
Very true.
Very true.
Yep.
I'm the drunk uncle.
As long as you can still draw,
it takes a lot of effort to admit.
No, this is wrong.
Give him a bottle and a pen. He can still draw.
I thought we were gonna get some real hard questions. What's up, man? Like you guys slacking right now.
I can't. That was funny. Heather, it's your go.
All right. Pull this up real quick. All right. So, what yet to be introduced Natura character are you most? No, excuse me. Sorry. What yet to be introduced Natura character do you love and describe them without giving too much away? You know, because we want to keep a little mystery, but
Well, honestly, Lee, you got something cooking.
Huh?
It's a nice little man in the combat boots that has his eye out for Lycos.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
You stirring the pot. You stirring the pot.
Secret op mission. Yeah. Man. Oh. Okay, Heather.
I think that was
I see
enough
you.
leaks right there. So you'll just have to
what
wait.
is this possible? You could give like maybe a name if that's safe and a characteristic. I mean, you know.
I mean, everybody's seen him at one point because he was on one of the posters for a while. So you can drop
they ain't even a character I'm worried about. That's kind of he's a utility character, but the one I'm really like, oh yeah, I'm waiting to drop him. It's Dr. Mesos. The good doctor. The good doctor.
I actually forgot about him for a minute.
True.
He's the one cooking up all the ills and making them all super hyped to kill us. So, yeah, that will be interesting.
Is there anybody writing that character yet thus far?
No, not yet.
That's going to be so interesting.
So his backstory's done. Art left us with the backstory. So his backstory is done. But yeah, that would be interesting on how he actually comes into play. We get a little bit of taste of him, I think, coming soon in Silas. Farmer.
No, it's the farmer.
Okay. You know who I'm interested in seeing? Trapper.
No.
I actually want to see him rise and be, ready to snap something and do things.
Time soon come.
I'm waiting. I've been waiting for 2 years. I'm still waiting.
Honestly?
And I get to read the stuff. Do you know how much I'm waiting?
Be patient. Time soon come.
Oh, that's bull. All right.
Trapper's reveal, like his transformation reveal, is going to be so awesome.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for the second volume of Hurricane. I'm actually really ready to see her work out her anger issues in the middle of that gym. So I've been waiting on you don't understand. I hate being the one that reads these things because now I have to wait till you draw them. I'm like, when is it going to happen? Why? Why do you do this to me?
What does it look like? We want to know.
Yeah. It's like, that.
Well, it's what
you gotta wait a whole year and a half now because people don't put out normal seasons anymore that come out every 6 months. I gotta wait a whole year and a half.
Well, if I didn't have a full-time job and this was my full-time job, guess what I would be doing all day?
Ha ha ha.
support us on Patreon.
Support us on Patreon so we can get you books faster.
50comix.com. Subscriptions soon come. Like we can get those subs up, man.
Yeah, they're coming. Speaking of which, it is time for our next video. Let's see if it looks. Time for a commercial break. Oh, hang on.
Pause for effect.
Pause for a second. I thought it was uploading over here. I don't know what it was doing. It definitely wasn't uploading.
So maybe while we're waiting, you could maybe tell us why the ill are kept so secret.
I could, but
I've always liked to play with fire.
all right. And we're back.
That happened.
It happened at the right time. Just asked the question, so it was like the cliffhanging perfect time to load it.
I guess that's true. But why are the ill kept a secret, or is it just that there's not enough of them?
Honestly, I don't think the ill are kept a secret, and we learned that in the upcoming Ill Intent. Is that they're not secret; they're literally walking around, but it's people like you and I, right? So if things are happening to you and you're slowly degrading and you're slowly changing, it just takes a minute for everybody else to catch on. Like, oh shit! Like it's kind of like watching a drug addict become a drug addict. Like you don't know they're on drugs until you start seeing how their body weight starts dropping. They look like they haven't slept in 10 years, or they're constantly like twitchy and antsy when they're not getting their fixes. So, or the same thing with an alcoholic. So I think it's just one of those things that and that's that common perception that the ill has not been around. The ill has always been around. Plague has always been around. Man-made disease has always been around. So honestly, I think we just don't pay it any attention. And a lot of that was in another Lee slogan, which was that, paying attention to the world, because this is the world. This is what's happening on a daily basis. Every time you turn on TV and that orange little troll is on TV talking about how he's still running for president, even though everybody's trying to literally kick him out of everything. It's those things that keep, making the ill.
So what will slowly kind of manifest itself, not even slowly, I would say anymore. I think there are a couple more issues that will come out that will ultimately kind of give everybody a grasp of what's going on, because the ill are a problem. Don't get me wrong. I always tell people this is a battle of attrition, right? So the idea is that source energy that resides in the center of the earth, where everything is manifested from, creation is manifested from, this thing, the source energy is kind of where these ill creatures are looking to get to. They're energy vampires, essentially, right? So you have lost something, now you're longing to get this thing back. You go to where the thing is at its most abundance and you go there and get it, right? So there is nothing driving our superiors more than to serve Zenith and to get Zenith this power. And that power that he ultimately needs is, he knows where, okay, if I can destroy this earth one more time, if I can just prove to these two imbecile guys that they made the bad decision on trying to give these people powers and give them the knowledge they need to run the world, that this is foolish endeavor that he was on. If I can just prove to him one more time, I'll be able to overthrow him and actually do and show them the way that I believe, right? So the superiors are doing nothing but his bidding, which is trying to get to that source energy, right? So what you don't see in the natural realm is the war that's going on. There is a literal war going on the outskirts or the borderlands of the four kingdoms of the Natura. So this war that you'll see eventually, once Jesse drops her story of Evelyn Avant-Garde. She drops that story.
Working on it.
We drop that story. We'll get more of an insight as to what's going on in that realm, and be able to kind of fully flesh out that conflict. And you'll get to see it, and you'll get to understand what this is a very cataclysmic level event here, and this is why, yeah, we have ill floating around, but it's Dr. Misos who's, this is why he's so important. This is why he's my character that I'm ready to reveal, because he's such a pivot point character in a lot of this. You'll be able to see where he involves himself to enhance them enough to go fight this war, right? And then how are the characters dealing with that? So yeah, you're not gonna see them, but like people are just disappearing. They're just gone. Like why? Like how are they being abducted? How are they, how are they just gone after a while? They were going through something, they seemingly physically changed and then they're gone. So where are they going? Right? So they're going after that main source of energy. We take that, we take the planet, game, set, match, it's over. Right? So that's why this, and shout out to the Genesis series written by my brother, Leonce. But the Genesis series is such a pivotal issue to pick up because it gives you some of that context of what's going on. But yeah, and everybody else's characters that are also involved in this are going to have to deal with this in some way, shape, or form. So the ill will have to be reckoned with, but there are bigger, badder things on the horizon that are coming that our characters will also have to face down. So I can't wait to tell that story.
Leonce, your turn.
For what? The man just said it all.
Oh, you're cheating. Oh,
I'm not. He gave you. He answered the question. Like there's nothing else for me to add. Like that was it. Just like he said last night. Like a lot of the times our answers would align. He said what I would have said.
We're brothers. That's why it happens like that. Sorry. What you got, Heather?
All right. We're going to get a little personal here. So what in your life inspired you personally? An event, a person inspired you to start creating superhero characters or start imagining them?
That's a good freaking question.
Hey, Heather.
Cartoons. It was cartoons. Yeah. That was what did it.
What cartoon though?
Say it again.
What cartoon?
Oh man. So Thundercats and Transformers were like they really kind of got the wheels turning when it came to imagination and imagining new or different environments where adventures could take place. And then when it came to like strategy and machines and like the teamwork, G.I. Joe kind of slipped into that. So yeah, man, like before or after school cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons, like that was what really made me want to start telling stories. I mentioned the interview last night. Like there was an episode of Thundercats that I saw that didn't end the way I liked it, the way I wanted it to. So I rewrote the ending and I gave it to my mama to read it.
Oh,
yeah.
Fan fiction.
Listen, to this day, I'm still not exactly convinced that she read it, but she told me how good it was. And I was like, man, listen, I might be able to do this. And so I started doing it more often. So yeah, man, it was watching cartoons, and then I've always been a voracious reader, and so I'd read books and I'd go on these adventures in my head, and every now and then I'd for all the words that I was kind of soaking up, like I'd start pouring that back out. Sometimes with original characters, Voltron, of course, can't forget that. I was a big Voltron fan. I started drawing a little stick figure cartoon when I was in like 3rd grade, Lasertron, and it was my attempt to try and emulate that storytelling that I saw on TV, and I was enamored with like story beats, like, and especially cliffhangers. I love cliffhangers. So yeah, man, it was cartoons that really made me feel like I think I might want to write like this when I was younger. So yeah. cartoons.
Speaking of cliffhangers, all right, and we're back.
That comes back too quick. I was mid-yawn.
Inspired him.
All right, Nisha, same question. Who inspired you to start thinking of making?
Oh, darn it. I thought it was Lee's turn.
I mean,
so honestly, not drawing, but writing just in general was Sunday Funnies. And then I was obsessed with Doctor Who. I was obsessed with Star Trek. I was obsessed with almost every fantasy place you could possibly be besides Earth and the paranormal. And so honestly, it wasn't even cartoons. It was just supernatural in general, like just things that go bump in the night or everyday humans doing superhero shit. Like Captain Kirk he was a badass growing up. Like he did some stuff. And then, then I had my whole love affair with Spock and everything else just kind of went blank after that. So
to be fair, it's Leonard Nimoy, so I mean, I get it. I get it.
He does that, it's them ears and, then his logical thinking and everything being logical. So, Scooby-Doo though, honestly, I liked Scooby-Doo growing up. And then I think really what inspired me to write, Lily, was just high school, like just the drama. It's almost table 23-ish, but if you just sit in a cafeteria long enough, it's like the days of our lives. It is a soap opera walking nonstop. Somebody's breaking up with the cheerleader. Somebody's being the mean girl. You got the jocks just doing dumb shit. We catch somebody in the closet doing things they're not supposed to be doing in the closet. People trying to skip school. It's so much drama. It's like an everyday soap opera. So what inspired me to write was just people around me. If you sit and people watch, you have endless amounts of stories. So whether it's like you having a direct interaction or just observing them, it's kind of one of those things. And I still like people watching, which is weird. Every once in a while, I just like wondering, are they happy? Did they go out just because they went out, or what's going on here? Or just sitting outside after a concert, like going to like a place where there's like an outdoor concert and you just sit on the wall and just watch people come and go. And you could tell who's completely wasted versus the people that are still kind of like, oh, that was a good show and let's go do something else. And then the people that were like, God, I wish I didn't have to work tomorrow. And then you have the people that are just like, it inspires you to write. It just keeps like, just people watching inspires you to write. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, something so simple as being a TV show watcher or a book reader or, it's just being out here in everyday life, like literally just encountering. My kids inspire me to write. Like I have a 15-year-old that draws his butt off on a daily basis, and he is the most well-dressed man. He's been like that since he was 8, but he wears suits like nobody's business. I want to write a character about this guy because there's this kid and he wears all these suits and he almost has like this James Bond feature to him. Like I want to make a teenage James Bond out of him, like he inspires me to do that. And then I have my youngest who literally, he's like Captain Underpants. He flies around here just dressing up. He dresses up like 20 times a day. The kid goes through clothes like crazy and he's 9. So those are the things that inspire me to write, just life, like my cat used to go and pick all the bulbs off the Christmas tree and then lay under the Christmas tree and like stare at it like it had catnip on it. Those are the things that inspire you to write. That's like a great short, funny clip of something where even if it was like an episode of Garfield where, he's just thinking about getting into shit. It's just one of those things. So I don't know. I can ramble on and on, but I won't. Lee, your turn.
I'm like my brother, I guess. Same thing, just cartoons. At the end of the day, And then Tyree Tufts. I explained this last night to the interviewer we were doing last night, and quite as kept, the character Tyree Tufts is based off of my long childhood friend from way back when I started drawing anything comic booky whatsoever. Tyree Tufts was a classmate of mine, and he basically was just enamored by anything I would draw. To include this Venus flytrap character that I later made into this trapper story with my brother here. So yeah, he was kind of like my audience. He was like my first audience essentially, and I wanted to create stories to entertain him, but also entertain myself as a kid. Like I just want to see, you know, comics, and I want people to enjoy them, and enjoy the stories that are coming out with it. So what we're doing right now is just a dream to be able to put all this together right now and be able to have other people collaborate with it. I think it's a dream, man. But you know, anytime we put out a trapper issue or talk about it, man, I gotta get on the phone and hit him up and say, hey, man, I got something new coming out. And he knows for a fact that the main character in that story is named after him. Full name, Tyree Tufts is his name, and that's the character's name. So, but yeah, that was always special to me, man. So yeah, cartoons inspired that, and I literally just wanted to make really cool stories that I can draw to.
Good answers. I like it.
Agreed. These are some good answers.
This was not a hard interview at all, y'all. Y'all are not.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to go to commercial.
I guess I need to think more harder about these questions.
Well, while you think, here is a message from our sponsors.
If somebody were to ask me, why would I buy the Natura issues for me? You know what I would say? Simple, man. These stories are about people. And at the root of it, that's what all stories are about. People. And that's why we appreciate anybody that takes the time to come pick up a book from us. And I hope you enjoy them. Thanks.
Is it up to debate so we can reverse Anne's questions? So
I'm gonna cry now. Oh, that was so beautiful, Lee. Oh.
Wow.
You should do our appreciation videos more often. I like it.
Oh, thanks.
I never actually read it, but it was like one of those Hallmark commercials. Like, I just wanted a card and a tissue, man. Damn. I got all teary-eyed, and then the people look all so happy, and they're holding their books and everything. It was just like, oh, but they are like, people are genuinely happy to hear and see and learn something new is coming. Like, this is like, I honestly foresee in like the next 5 years, bye-bye Marvel, bye-bye DC. I mean, it's nothing against them, but they're going in a stagnant circle, and people are ready for that something new. It's kind of like when we went through this whole remake of Chucky, remake of Ghostbusters, remake of, you know, there's only so many times you're going to remake The Color Purple or anything. And granted, no, this new Color Purple is different because they remade it off of the musical, which is more about what happened after she stood up for herself and left. So that part I do like. And I think Oprah did a really fantastic job at letting them have that creative space to do that in. So, but the other remakes that we have definitely went down the rabbit hole of, I think this is, Natura is something different, man. And it's just, it's like when people ask, can you describe? No, I can't. I really can't, because it's literally something different on a daily basis. We are slowly just this evolving petal of just shit. Like, there is just so much stuff that's like there. And we're creating this universe in which a cast in, like Genesis, Leonce, blew our freaking minds away with this world that Leonce didn't even put words to until his brother got done with all the pictures of it. So Lee told this beautiful story with all these bright colors and all of these eclectic, different species and supernaturals and spiritual beings. And it was just like, okay, what are we doing here on Earth? Nothing.
Oh, you're doing something all right.
There's lots going on. We have no comment about.
You're getting it, baby. That's the other book's about.
So many.
But you know who scares me the most? And I think there's a question around him, Zenith.
It should. It should. It does not mean as well.
Do we have a plan on doing a comic based solely on Zenith?
I hope not.
That would be
honestly,
the end.
what I'd like if it was up to me, I would like for
it is up to you. You're like the chief writer, sir. It is
It's literally in your hands.
No, but the Natura is more of a collective sort of project. But no, man, I say that to say that the what we see in issue 2 in the Genesis issue, I would like for that to be our moment to zoom out, but I would like for the rest of the Natura series to kind of build up to the reveal of these ultimate puppeteers. Like if you imagine the Zayonye and Isaido as positive one, and I'm sorry, yeah, as a positive infinity, and Zenith as negative infinity, I'd like to like start at 0 and build out towards those areas and kind of add layers and add layers and add stakes to the point where the conflict is so large and so broad and so all encompassing that at when it becomes uncontainable, like that is the point that we actually see Zenith like enter the scene and kind of start to throw its own weight around. And where we have, Isaido on and Zayonye on the other side, like, monitoring as much as they can, alongside Isocronus. And then at some point it's like, listen, it will not be resolved unless we help resolve it. So I said that to say that I think that peaks of Zenith from time to time, to see it kind of looking over or to see it orchestrating things, I imagine very often, like, I imagine Zenith is like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget. Like you see a small part of it.
I love that reference.
You'll see a small part of it. You'll see, its fist, kind of balled up, or a silhouette of it. That at the end of Avengers, like when Thanos kind of turns around in his chair, you get that good look at him, but then you don't see him much more, or you see him in bits and pieces until the final reveal is done. I think I'd like it better that way. I mean, that way, like as you build the story forward and you raise the stakes and you create more and more danger for your characters, I think that knowing that there's a final big bad out there looming, I think that is that creates a degree of tension that you can use to draw a story like all the way out and draw it up through layers. So that's me. That would be my.
And I'm happy you said that too, because I was conflicted, man, for a long time. I'm like, man, do I want to reveal the look of this guy? But I've been like, man, I really like the way I created this character. I just really want people to see him. But I'm in the same boat with you. Was just like, man, I like keeping him in the shadows too, because you don't know what's scarier is the thing that you can't see or know. Like he's scarier from the shadows.
You mentioned samurai horror. Like a good horror movie is one that hides the monster for most of the movie. You know what I mean? So, but in the context in which you did the images, it makes sense to see its face then, because just like we have seen the face of our positive infinity, we should see the face of our negative infinity. And that was what I tried to end the story on, was that, here are the Godhead who have, given us this third Earth. But things are about to get bad in a way that not even they know, and again, that shadow of Zenith kind of looming over the rest of the story, I think is a good fit.
Yeah, because I think I love how you put it in context of they don't. They're to me, they're like young teenagers just in love with just themselves and how they're creating and putting things out there in the universe. And she's infinite space and he's filling that space, but they just don't know what they don't know. And Zenith is this thing that they don't know about. Like they just really don't know what this dude is. Like, who is this guy?
Precisely it. Here's a godhead that is omnipotent. Like they have all kinds of power, but they do not have all knowledge. That is the purpose for them creating all these civilizations and creating all these worlds. Is because they are on the path of discovery too. Like they are living vicariously through their creations. That's what the Stone of Convergence is all about. Like, so being real, the Stone of Convergence represents like the list that I would make of the combinations that I would make when I was playing alchemy. Like when I found out what two things added together would equal, I'd write it down on a list. And the Stone of Convergence, when you gave me that image, I was like, oh, that's the perfect place to put that.
Yes. So I had this, and not to cut you off, man, but I had this really good conversation with Brandon the other night because we were talking about this secret story that we're putting out for next year. But we were talking about how honestly we don't want to anchor a lot of our story into real places, like real known places too much, because I think it opens it up for more creative storytelling, because we're creating Metropolis, we're creating a Gotham City in a sense, right? But at the beginning, the forefront of it, I'm dropping, so for all you new watchers and people that are paying attention, I'm giving you some little bit of a canon, a little bit here. There's this order in my mind, this order of the ordained, these characters, the early humans, if you want to call them that got blessed with the knowledge of how to work the source energy directly from the convergent stone, right? So they were gifted with this knowledge early on, and you're like, wow, like, okay, they know how to work this stuff, and everything in the world was created using these combinations of manipulating the four elements, right? So everything got converted. So as soon as they created something, beep, it blipped on the convergence stone. Blip, and another thing it clicked on. Oh, okay, this is how we make this, right? So everything was created. You know what I mean? Like man actually had a real good understanding of the balance it needed to make a lot of the stuff that we exist in this world right now. But it goes sideways, which you see in Genesis. You see it go sideways because with great power, without having that harness or understanding of it, you can get corrupted. You can easily get corrupted when you have too much power. Too much of a good thing can corrupt you and turn it bad. And you see that in the Genesis issue on Earth too, especially. You have their involvement, and they evolve to a certain point where it's almost futuristic, where I think my brother talks about interstellar travel, like they're on the convergence of getting ready to do that, and then all of it just collapses, man. It's just like, boom. So there you go. And then there are always gems in the ashes. There are always gems in the ashes, always, right? So that gem in the ash, that knowledge is that Zenith. The Zenith is coming from the ashes of this failure. It's coming from that dead earth. They're starting to see now, like, oh crap, like we can't just have omnipotent power and not have a consequence behind it. Like that's a consequence to play the way you're playing. Like playing this game has a consequence to it, and that's it.
For every is, a not is. Yeah. Fun stuff. Yeah.
Fun stuff.
That's really cool. I like where this is going.
Well, I'm about out of questions. How long were we running this till? I apologize.
That's a good question.
I just sent you guys the 15-minute warning.
Okay.
Well, I got a question for you and Jess, right?
Okay.
Well, this is for Heather. First of all, let me get Heather. I'm gonna shoot this one to Heather real quick, right? So Heather, where do you see the evolution of Ida in her trials and tribulations? Where do you see her? What's her overall arc about to be about?
Ooh, her next overall arc. What leads her to join up with everybody else where we see them standing on that battlefield? Gotta go through a betrayal before then.
Ooh, all right.
It's gonna be a bad one. Some people may see a little bit of it in the book too. Might start to see that developing. We'll see. But come book 3, yeah, it's going to be the big betrayal. It's going to be bad.
Is there anything in Ida's like psyche in her? What is she conflicted by as a person? Like she gets gifted with these great powers, she becomes an ordained, but where is she conflicted at in her dealings with this thing?
So her conflict with receiving these powers is first and foremost, I didn't really ask for any of this. I'm still a teenager in this series. I'm still like trying to develop basic motor functions as an adult. And then you add this into it. My family, what are they going to think about this? Obviously, I think anybody that finds out that their cousin has superpowers is going to be pretty psyched. Like if my niece and nephews found out I had superpowers, they would be thrilled. And then it's going to be like, how do we keep this off of Instagram for the next few months until we're ready to talk about this?
Bet. How does that affect? I know her immediate family is like, her niece and nephews are going to be pretty cool, but is there somebody that's in her family and that lineage that's going to be like the overall family? Are they going to be against this? Because I know her family comes from a long line of Aikidas, right? So what is it? Aikida? I keep saying that wrong, do I? Yeah. So how does that affect the lineage between that family? Like what would somebody be opposed to this? Would she divulge this to the family like that? What would she be doing?
So the Aikidas have been raised to be humble but strong people. So if you have something, you never upplay your power over another person. You always help somebody. You always try to keep it so that no matter what, you are equals. So anything where you are like, where Ida receives this power and the first thing she thinks of is, oh my God, my grandmother, she's gonna be so upset with me. Like I'm gonna be I don't want to be more than what I've been doing. I don't want to do more than this. So how can I still satisfy what my family has taught me to believe that, hey, one person is not more just because they have received more or done more? How do I not make my family feel any different from me? How do I not get ostracized, basically?
Wow. Yeah. That's a huge conflict to have, I bet.
Especially for somebody who's very family motivated, it can be a big turmoil.
No doubt. Jess, your turn. Give us a brief introduction to Evelyn Avant-Garde and what inspired this character. Who is she and where does she come from?
Okay, so Evelyn Avant-Garde is the character that's going to kind of, I don't even really know. It's a good question. I haven't ever been quizzed on Evelyn yet, so I'm like, oh, well, this is new. She's...
Get used to it.
Which I'm kind of excited for. I'm like, ooh, my character. It's like, still got that brand new car smell. Like, I don't know. Evelyn's the kind of character that she's very serious and doesn't understand. She understands how big and complex this whole thing is, but still doesn't understand things within herself. And that's kind of where you get introduced to her, is where she's trying to figure out what her spot is and where her role is in this whole thing.
Oh,
that's kind of her character. And like she's trying to come back from a whole lot of just relational trauma and all this hurt that she doesn't really know what to do with, and no one's really helped her through it. And now she's receiving all this help in a place that is not on Earth, and with people that she's, I don't want to say like intellectually lower than, but like just not exposed to the same things that they are. So now she's also trying to figure out how their world works, and also trying to understand why she has these powers, because she doesn't necessarily feel worthy of having been chosen for that role. Because I think she is Lycos older than Evelyn? I don't know how old Lycos is.
Lycos is in his 30s.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was
So
saying he's in his 30s, yeah.
yeah, so like Lycos and Evelyn, I guess at this point are the two oldest characters. So you're kind of faced with like that different cycle of life at this point, where she's like, oh well, I kind of thought I'd be in a different place than where I am now, and kind of having like a little bit of a crisis.
She needs to go sit on the doc's couch. Good thing Lycos is married to a therapist.
Yes. Yeah. And I must say, like, I think that with her being kind of like the character that introduces more of the Natura realm, and kind of like helps in that respect, like, it's very interesting being a part of like world building.
Yeah.
That's what I have. Did I answer your question, Lee? I don't think I answered your question. I think I went around it.
No, you went.
I do that all the time.
No, you did good. Well, you got a chance. What I wanted you to do was just kind of describe and introduce your character, and what motivates you right. But yeah,
Everyone's a badass. She's an older badass.
Well, I gotta say this too, and it's funny that you said what you said about there's this reluctancy to take on the power, because ultimately, we did it with Silas. As Heather just eloquently just explained, like, yeah, there's some doubts about having this thing. Like, what am I supposed to do with it? I'm this avatar of this, superpower. Like, why do I have this power? Like, what's the purpose of this? And I think the Natura, the four elemental gods, are pretty much, needing the order of the ordained to exist, because that's going to give them the edge in combating this problem, right? So we need human beings to understand where they came from originally, discover that balance is necessary when doing this to overcome these evils that are just out here. But again, it's learning something that you have no idea about, right? So, but it's a reluctancy to take on that power, man, and I think that's a good character building block for a lot of our characters. It's like, okay, I got something I'm not expecting to have. How do I deal with that? I think we're gonna really dwell in that, especially when it comes to Trapper, what my brother has written. How does one deal with this such a dramatic change? And I think that's the thing that faces every one of our characters is, how does that person deal with such a dramatic change and entering into a world that you, for the longest time as you've been in existence, never knew existed? Like, you never knew or even never thought to question this. Everything has just been everything as you thought it existed. But now you're starting to see the veil lifted up, and now you can see into another world that is just beyond anything you could even comprehend. How does your character adapt to that? Like, how would they adapt to that? And then and I guess in writing that, how would you adapt to that? If that was you being personally put in that situation, how would you adapt to it?
Is that for us or was that for Jess?
It was metaphorical.
Was that even a question?
That was a monologue. We just heard a very good monologue.
It was kind of like it was a Stan Lee moment, and I was waiting for with great power comes great responsibility, but I didn't hear that part, so I'm like,
we could rewind it and I could drop that in afterwards and then give you that. But that's essentially how I see it. I don't know. I was pretty cool just leaving y'all a little stump like that. That was cool. I silenced y'all all at one time. That was awesome. So yeah.
Nice.
I'll show our last trailer of the evening.
How you like that? You gon' like that? Like that? How you like?
All right.
Amazing.
Very
That
nice.
was the last one of the evening. Honestly, I think it should have probably ended on the fans page, but you know.
Nobody makes the jump the first time.
Well, guys, this was our 90-minute special edition, and we did it. We did it in 1 hour and 25 minutes. So with 5 minutes remaining, let's go around the room, say what we are thankful for in 2023 and what we look forward to in 2024. I'm going to start with Heather. Welcome back.
So I'm thankful definitely for the opportunities to have time off and really refine my craft. I've done a lot of work with different people over these past few months to look into line work, to really study and go through and do things I have not been comfortable with before. So I'm thankful for 2023 pushing my boundaries during this time off. And then I am excited for 2024 and seeing what opportunities it holds. I already know I've got a few things lined up I'm excited to get into. But yeah, 2023, you really refined things out. Appreciate that.
Mr.
I
Johnson.
like that.
Awesome.
Refine things out. I really like that line.
Yep.
What are the Mr. Johnsons?
Oh, it's on me. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't be here without the people that have supported us through these last couple months, man, and being able to really see our potential. I'm thankful to be able to see that and have those perspectives and see our perspective and see where we're at. We also have been challenged in a lot of ways, in more ways than others, but we have definitely been challenged, and we've definitely been able to keep our nose to the grindstone and keep pushing. So I'm grateful to be able to do that. I'm grateful every time I'm able to talk about this stuff. I'm grateful for every time I get to draw something in reflection of it. I'm grateful for everybody that has put in and contributed to this whole epic and continues to do so. I continue to just appreciate and want to continue to grow great with you guys into the next year and further beyond, man. So there are a lot of things that we got to accomplish in 2024, but I am open and willing to take on those challenges, man. As long as you guys are with me, we're going to keep that ball rolling.
Jesse.
Okay, I'm grateful for all of the trials and challenges that 2023 provided me with. Because damn, what a wild ride.
I was like, I already know.
Right. For 2024, I'm very excited to dive more into writing. I think that that's something that I didn't know that I really, really liked. And now that I've gotten a bit of a...
Unlock the beast.
Yeah, like now that I've gotten a taste, I'm like, oh, I just have stories all the time. Like, you want to find out, you can ask, and I'll tell you all of the things. So I'm like pretty excited about 2024.
You sound like Leonce now. That's scary.
Well, someone has to review my script. You got to review my script. You got to make sure it's
reading is
good.
not our problem.
I need assistance. This is my first time.
We love reading.
Exactly.
Leonce?
I'm grateful for grit. I'm grateful for my teammates. I'm grateful for terrifying opportunities and stepping up to them anyway. I'm grateful for I'm grateful for commitment. Like I'm grateful for the stick-to-itiveness that it takes to keep a machine like this running. There are imprints that pop up and disappear all the time, and I'm grateful that in spite of it all, we still here, and I don't plan on going nowhere. I am looking forward to new opportunities and new connections in 2024. I am looking forward to I'm looking forward to creating a future that even we haven't imagined yet. You know, I'm looking forward to like building this thing brick by brick. I'm looking forward to doing the diligence that it takes to get it across the finish line and then drawing a new finish line. You know what I mean? It's funny, man, to describe the feeling that I have about the future that I see for 50 Comics. The only thing that serves the purpose is volcanic. Like I see this really becoming something beautiful because of the efforts of the people who have put it in, and because of the support of the folks who are watching this happen. So let's get it.
Well, there you have it, people. 2023 and 2024 in a nutshell. Oh, darn. Was it my turn?
It is your turn. It is.
I am grateful for each and every one of you tonight for being on and putting up with all of my crazy and my randomness. And yes, Coffee, Chix, and Comics is back, and this kicks off a brand new season for 2024. So I'm excited to see what comes next and who may or may not join or may pop in or may not pop in. But I plan to at least get everybody on this show at least one time. So I am grateful for all of those things. And I am grateful to have such awesome co-hosts who came with their challenging questions and new insights and innovates to our collective here. And with that being said, arrivederci, happy holidays. I don't have any jingle bells though. Let me see. I got reactions. Let's see. We can clap. And we can gas.
Children and their toys.
I love my new toy. I am grateful for Streamlab Works.
That was awesome. That was so good.
Night, y'all.
Night. Happy holidays, folks. Enjoy your holidays. Enjoy your time with your families.
All right now. Peace.
Peace.
Peace. Oh, wait. I don't have an ending. There we go.
All right.